Hi there, my name is Maxime and I'm 25 and from the Netherlands. I graduated from HRI in December 2018 with a master's in international disaster management. I currently work at Doctors Without Borders in Amsterdam in two different roles. I am a development officer in the training department and a information management officer for an internal innovation project which looks at mis and disinformation within our organization. I'm currently splitting my time between two roles. As information management officer, I work in a small virtual team. So my colleagues are based in the UK, Norway, and Tanzania. And my main responsibility, like my title suggests, is management of information in our team. This means I look after our team page on MSF's internal channel, which is a page where we host information about our project, the resources we create, and where we share interesting external publications and articles. I also draft an internal newsletter every 2 to 3 weeks, which get distributed to our stakeholders and others who've shown an interest in mis and disinformation in our movement. For this newsletter, I round up interesting scientific publications, news articles, and blogs, and we draft a Week in Focus spotlight piece, for example, about anti-vaccination narratives, misinformation after the 2020 Beirut explosion, or COVID-19 misinformation trends. Next to this, I work with the other officers in our team to help draft guideline documents for our field teams. For my role as development officer in the training department, I'm responsible for the administrative support for all our medical advocacy and operational training courses. This means I draft and send out new course announcements, I collect and bundle applications to send out internally for selection, I then feed back to participants with the results, and I make sure they have all the information they need before attending the course. Due to COVID-19, our department has been forced to switch from face-to-face trainings to blended learning. So as with any other organization, we're very ironically learning and developing as we go through that process of transformation. Because of this new way of working, we're also revisiting and optimizing, for example, application procedures with a very big focus on increasing accessibility for our field colleagues. But also next to this training administration, I am responsible for optimizing our internal communication strategy, and I facilitate enrollment requests for e-learnings on our own online learning academy. A typical day in my role as development officer looks something like this, and it varies per week. I usually start work around 9:30. I did this before working from home, and this means I just get to sleep longer instead of commuting the hour and a half between The Hague and Amsterdam every day. But I start with my mailbox, I sort through the emails, and I answer any urgent ones. Then I look at my planning for the week and just start ticking off tasks. This could be, for example, sending out a new course announcement, could be enrolling people in e-learnings, designing or updating a new course brochure, meeting with the other development officers to discuss projects we're working on together, such as setting up a new page for documents for an upcoming course. And once a week, we meet with the whole team, which is about 15 of us, and we discuss what everyone's up to, if anyone has any updates for the whole team, etc. And then I try and end my day around 6 p.m. So I started with MSF right after graduating from HERI. Purely by chance, my mom knew someone who just started working for the advocacy and communications department at MSF. And when I met with her, we discussed, among other things, my dissertation topic, and it happened to be similar to a new thematic they had in that team, and I landed an internship supporting that dossier as junior researcher. That internship turned into a paid position as support officer for that department, and that's a role I stayed in until October last year. It's cliche to say, but as in my case, very true. Once you have that foot in the door, you start to expand your network, you work with different departments and people, and it becomes just easier to move through an organization in different roles. Networking was and is Still key to getting all those different roles, and most of the time it's been me being there in the right place at the right time. I've always tried to be active and engaged during my studies, sitting on different committees, getting to know a lot of people, but I haven't done much volunteering or taken specific courses to actually land the job. The only thing that will boost your employability in this sector is to learn a foreign language. So French, Spanish, or Arabic. What I really like about HRI is how they set you up with the theoretical framework to grasp the concepts in the humanitarian sector. Especially courses like project management, I really enjoyed, but also courses that focus more on the role of culture in disaster management operations and the history of humanitarianism. HRI as an institute is so well known in the sector, and it just offers you this wonderful way to start networking and exploring the different corners of the sector. However, as with all university degrees, you still need to get the actual work experience to fully understand how the sector works. Like me, some of my friends were able to land their internship or even a job after graduating because of their dissertation topics, and especially when you're working with an external supervisor. This is not to say this is a guarantee, but it can surely help to adjust your dissertation topic to your interests at the moment and get a chance to explore that field of work. This could be, for example, migration or national security management or even climate change. All right, I'll be very honest, this is not an easy sector to enter. There's a lot of competition purely because so many people would like to work in this sector, but there simply aren't enough jobs. Especially applying for junior roles fresh out of university is extremely tough. In the past 2 years, I've applied to over 35 jobs. Only twice got to the interviewing stage and only actually landed a job once. Like I said, networking is key in getting a job or just being at the right place at the right time, which I know isn't very helpful to hear, but I think it's good to know because it might take a while to get in. What also doesn't help is that the entire aid sector is currently in a bit of a state, and it's due to undergo some major, long overdue changes, which will make it very likely even harder to get in without a lot of experience. My advice would be to start applying to organizations you find interesting, but without the expectation to land a super fantastic, amazing field position, because more likely you'll begin somewhere in an office at HQ level in a supportive role. But keep going, learn organizational structures, try and figure out what parts of the job you like, what you would like to change, and just keep looking forward. The good thing about this is, as with every role, is you'll get transferable skills which will help you grow towards this new thing, this next better job, and slowly you're start climbing to the position you want to be in. Being junior in a very large organization is hard, especially because, for example, the organization I work in, MSF, doesn't have this typical hierarchical structure, which makes it very hard to grow and progress without getting field experience. Which is totally justified because the aid sector is professionalizing, but it can be very frustrating at times because field experience isn't as easy to get as it was 20 years ago. The humanitarian sector is an incredible sector to work in. It's dynamic, it's fast-paced, the impact of your work is quickly visible. But at the same time, it's also a very insecure sector with lots of short-term contracts, long working hours without compensation, and this depends on your area of expertise, but it can be very hard for generalists to enter the workforce, and you might end up working for a department you never thought you'd be working in, but you can end up loving it. It can be a long road to get where you are, but if you're really committed to work in this sector, you will find your way one way or another. Not in the next 2 years, But maybe in 5 to 10 years, for the juniors, at least among us, you will get there. So just trust the process.